Hi everybody, hope you are fine. Welcome to the Brain Book channel. I am Amir and in this video I want to talk about cerebrum. The human brain contains three main parts including cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem. As you can see here in the picture, the cerebrum, cerebellum and brainstem are highlighted with the different colors. Here you can see the cerebrum. Here you can see the brainstem, and here the cerebellum. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and it forms 2/3 of the total weight of the brain. It divides into two hemispheres or halves that are named cerebral hemispheres. As you can see here, there is a left hemisphere and there is a right hemisphere. These two hemispheres are divided from each other by a longitudinal fissure from the front of the brain to the back of the brain. The cerebrum governs all sensory and motor activities. It consists of inner core of myelinated nerve fibers that forms the white matter and outer cortex, which is the gray matter. The Diencephalon is inside the cerebrum, under this area, above the brain stem, and its tasks include sensory function, food intake control, and the body sleep cycle. Cerebrum is covered with the ridges that are called gyri and folds that are called sulci. The two halves join at a large and deep sulcus, as we say here. This sulcus is named interhemispheric fissure or longitudinal fissure. You can see here it's a frontal view of the brain, and you can see that these fissures divide the brain into two hemispheres, the left and the right hemispheres, and it is from the front of the head to the back of the head. Cerebrum has different functions, including our senses, language, working memory, our behavior, movement, and even learning, logic, and reasoning. It controls our senses, including sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. In addition, it controls our ability to read, write, speak. Some areas in the cerebrum are specialized for our short-term memory. In addition, some other parts manage our personality and behavior. And some areas are sending signals that tell our muscles what to do when we need to use them. Also, it performs to have a function about learning a new skill, make a plan of action, or solving a puzzle, or finding a solution when we have a problem. Totally, the cerebrum is comprised of two different parts. They are named the gray matter and the white matter. The gray matter, as you can see here or here, covers the brain and is a thin layer that lies outside the brain. It is named as a cerebral cortex, and you can see here all the brain, even in the longitudinal fissure and hemispheres, are covered with the gray matter. And the gray matter contains 75% of all cell bodies in the nervous system, and the cell bodies in the gray matter are so dense. And how about white matter? The white matter is not visible from the normal brain. As you can see here, there is no white matter, or here, as you can see, there is no white matter, because it is beneath the cortex, and it is made up of myelinated nerve fibers, and connecting the cell bodies of the cortex with the rest of the nervous system. Also, it is important to note that here, inside the white matter, we have some areas that contain the gray matter, and in next slide we will talk about them. Cerebrum has different areas that are named lobe, including the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. As you can see here, the frontal lobe is located in the front of the brain, behind the forehead bone. And the parietal lobe is located in the middle. The occipital lobe is located in the back of the brain, and the temporal lobes are located in both sides of the brain. In addition, there is some part which is named insula. Some references indicate that insula is a lobe, but another references deny and say the insula is some part of the brain. But here, if you can see, the insula exists inside here. If we remove some part of the temporal lobe and some part of the frontal lobe, you can see the insula part. In this picture, you can see the insula exist here, and here. How the insula forms? As you may know, during the brain development, during the pregnancy of the mother and embryonic development, the brain starts to grow up. And as the brain wants to grow up, the gyri and the sulci will form to expand the surface of the brain for having more and more surfaces and neurons to do its function and activity. Also, when the brain is placed in the cranium, there is no enough space to grow. And when the brain have a forward and the backward grows, when it faced with a lack of space, the temporal lobe will turn to this side, and here will be formed the temporal lobe. And as you can see here, after the final development of the brain, when the temporal lobe comes here and form, we will find that we have another area which is named insula. The frontal lobe is the largest lobe in the brain, and it is located in front of the head. As you can see here, the largest part and in front of the head, involved in personality characteristic, decision making and movement. Recognition of smell usually involves part of the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe contains a specific area which is named Broca's area. It is associated with the speech ability, and if this area, the Broca's area, injured, we will face the problem for our speech ability, and maybe we could not speak correctly or very well. There is another part which is a parietal lobe. As you can see here, it exists in the middle part of the brain. It helps a person identify object, understand spatial relationship, and it works together with the cerebellum for our spatial recognition. It's involved in interpreting pain and touch in the body. Also, here there is an important part which is named Wernicke's area, which helps the brain to understand spoken language. And if it was injured by a trauma or maybe infection, the patient will have a problem and deficits in the understanding of the spoken language. Here you can see the occipital lobe. It is located in the back of the brain and back of the head. It is responsible for processing the vision information that are transmitted here from our eyes. And if it was injured, maybe our vision processing will be result in a problem. And the occipital lobe is the smallest lobe in our brain. Temporal lobe. We have two temporal lobes, the left temporal lobe and the right temporal lobe. And these are sides of the brain. The temporal lobes are involved in short-term memory, speech, musical rhythm, and some degree of smell recognition. Cerebrum has some other parts, including diencephalon. The diencephalon consists of thalamus and hypothalamus. Totally, the diencephalon is known as a thalamus. Here we can see that the thalamus is a center for all sensory impulses except olfactory. The olfactory sense is related to the smelling sense and motor areas of the cortex. And for the hypothalamus, it's a part under the thalamus, and it regulates behavior and emotional expression, body temperature, and many metabolic activities. And it is attached to the pituitary gland, and it's also control the hormonal secretion of this gland. There are other parts of the diencephalon that are important. For example, optic tracts that transfers the signals from our eye to our brain, and also optic chiasma that transfer. That is a place that our information from the left eye goes to the right hemisphere, and the information of the right eye goes to the another hemisphere in the opposite side. And also consists in fundibulum, the posterior pituitary and mammillary bodies, and also the pineal gland. There is a part in the brain which is called corpus callosum. As you may know, the right hemisphere controls the left part of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body. These two hemispheres are connected with each other through the C-shaped structure. Here it is C-shaped structure. It is made up of white matter and named corpus callosum. And here you can see the fibers, nerve fibers in the corpus callosum that connect the right and the left hemisphere together. And the corpus callosum is located in the center of the cerebrum. That's the deep longitudinal fissure divide two hemispheres, but these hemispheres are connected to each other through the corpus callosum. Hemisphere dominance. You may know that both cerebral hemispheres function in receiving and analyzing sensory input and sending motor impulses to the opposite side of the body. As I said, the right hemisphere controls the left part of the body, and the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body in all humans. And in 90% of the population, the dominant hemisphere is the left hemisphere. And that is the reason that majority of people are right-handed. For example, they write with their right hand, or they do maybe all their works with their right hand better. For the 10%, the rest of 10%, some people in some people the right hemisphere is dominant. For this reason, they are left-handed, and in some minor part of people and minor part of population, two hemispheres are working equally. And maybe some people say that these kind of people are more clever. We say that there is a hemisphere dominance. Most people exhibit hemisphere dominance for the language-related activity of speech, writing, and reading. For example, in these people, the right hemisphere is dominant, and in these people, the left hemisphere is dominant. As the dominant hemisphere is working for language, writing, reading, and speech. And how about the non-dominant hemisphere? It works for nonverbal function, emotion, and intuitive thinking, as we note here. In our cerebrum, there is another region, or there are some parts that are named basal ganglia. What are basal ganglia? They are masses of gray matter located deep within the cerebral hemisphere. We say that the gray matter exists in the outer layer of our brain. However, there are some other parts that are inner parts that are called basal ganglia. They relay motor impulses from the cerebrum and help to control motor activities by producing inhibitory dopamine. And the basal ganglia includes choroid nucleus, which is located here next to the internal capsule, and our putamen, which is highlighted here, and the globus pallidus. That includes the external segment and the internal segment. Also, there is a term which is named choroid plexus. What is the choroid plexus? Choroid plexus is our network of blood vessels and cells in the ventricles, and they produce cerebrospinal fluid. As they are marked here, they exist in the upper roof of the third ventricle. They exist in lateral ventricles and also exist in the fourth ventricle. And these are specialized capillary from the pia mater and secrete the CSF, or cerebrospinal fluid, to flow here and go through the spinal cord. Thank you for your attention. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you think it's good and it's helpful, please recommend it to your friends and subscribe my channel to support me for making more and more videos. Thank you for your attention. See you later. Bye.